The In This League Podcast Network. In this ring, in this corner, Joe Pisapia. This corner, Tim Heaney. Gentlemen, let's go.
Hey, yo. What's up, everybody? It's me, Joey B. Welcome to In This Ring, the greatest wrestling podcast in the history of the universe. What a fantastic show we have lined up for you today. Obviously, a lot to talk about. Our first real entrees into the new worlds of Raw and Smackdown. We've got Impact Wrestling Redemption, because that's obviously a very, very unique title for a pay-per-view for wrestling. I think Redemption, clearly, why wouldn't you call it Redemption, right? We've also got our preview of the Greatest Royal Rumble coming up, which is just in a few days, a little noontime afternoon delight wrestling. Tim Heaney, I love it. And, of course, some big news in the wrestling world. But, Tim, let's start off already. Let's start with that Greatest Royal Rumble. Just, noon wrestling. Are you getting off work? How are you working this? Are you just, giving yourself a little window of time at lunch? How does that work for you to watch?
Well, look, the good thing about what we do as, kind of floating workers and stuff, I'm off Friday.
Unemployed, so. Is that what you want to say? You're trying to say unemployed?
Or we could say underemployed, but yeah, sure.
Well, actually, we are the farthest thing from unemployed, the way you and I work. Right. That's for damn sure.
But yeah, so Ken and I have a nice little lunch with little wrestling. It's pretty cool. Say what you want about, the objections we have about other things that are going on with the event, but should be fun to have a little bit of a, bit of a change of pace there. We've had, the time differences, with some things in London, stuff like that were nice for NXT and stuff like that. But this is, it's going to be interesting to watch this, so early in the day.
Yeah, definitely a little weird. And, but look, fun. I've told my kids that I would wait to watch it with them on Sunday night. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I got to stop texting you then. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, look, I'm going to know what happens. It's just, it's one of those things. And we're going to get to our top 5, by the way, later in the show, our top 5, who we think is actually going to win the Greatest Royal Rumble, or so they say it's going to be. But first, let's start with a bit of history, because right almost directly after last week's episode dropped, the Bruno Sammartino news came down that, unfortunately, at the age of 82, wrestling legend Bruno Sammartino passed away. And what a fascinating life. And, I know for us, it's not somebody we grew up with. I grew up knowing the myth and the legend of him. Being an Italian growing up in New York City, there is a legend of Bruno Sammartino in the community. And he is, he has a godlike status. And it's fascinating. I actually got to, it's one of those, like I said, never got to see him wrestle, seen clips, seen highlights, seen, old films, stuff like that, but didn't experience it firsthand. And really, it's a bad job by me not knowing more about him. And then I actually last night watched the documentary on the WWE Network on him. And I got to say, Tim, it was absolutely fascinating. Between his life in Italy, where they were hiding from Nazis, and his mother basically, was hiding them out in the mountains somewhere. They went days without food. She would sneak down into the village to get food. She was shot once. The stuff that this kid endured, you can't even believe. Then the father was in Pittsburgh at the time, and moved the family eventually out there after the war was over. And, just an absolutely fascinating tale of this young man who was actually small and got picked on, all of a sudden becoming this bodybuilder guy and growing and hitting this growth spurt, and then becoming, for all intents and purposes, the guy who basically bridged the gap into what we know now. And I didn't realize he sold out Madison Square Garden 187 times. That's staggering. I didn't realize that he held the title of champion longer than Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and Stone Cold Steve Austin combined. When I say that kind of thing, doesn't that just, if that doesn't kind of put in perspective what Bruno was, those two items actually, what does, right? That's staggering.
He was the draw from what I've been told. I remember my Italian grandmother, on my mom's side, it's just, they could not get enough of him. They had to gather around the TV every, I guess it was Saturday or whatever it was then, to watch it. And, they would scream at it. And, that was a real source of pride for the Italian American community. And they loved him. And yeah, it's just he was, we talked about Andre last week being such a big draw. Bruno was, the center of attention, we talk about Buddy Rogers being the other guy that kind of was one of the foundational pieces of the early, 50s or whatever days you want to talk about there. But yeah, it's I'm fascinated looking back then. You know, he was so physically imposing, and you know the things about him. You know, he was so far removed from the WWE in like the later years of his life because he didn't agree with some of the stuff that was going on, like steroids and you know, I guess some of the Attitude Era stuff he didn't like.
Yeah, he did not like the Attitude Era stuff. He didn't like the product. He didn't like the things that came out of their mouth. I mean, he was a true first class human being and first class guy.
He was a babyface's babyface, basically.
He was. I mean, he was and I think, you know, it wasn't even just the Italian community so much as the immigrant community too, which was such a huge part of New York City. Yeah. You know, obviously in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, all through there. But you know, you have that amazing connection and that connectivity of this guy who did it right and this guy who's authentic. And I think that authenticity is what really drew people to him and they're wanting to believe in him. And the story about, you know, Buddy Rogers not wanting to drop the belt to him and Bruno basically putting him in a lock in the ring and saying, listen, they didn't tell Buddy Rogers because apparently if you told Buddy Rogers he was going to lose, he wouldn't show up to the event, which is a great, I mean, that's terrific. Right? How do you like that, right? It's like, your review is this week, sir. You know what? I'm sick. I'm not going to be getting to work today. Could you imagine?
the original Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers.
The original Nature Boy. That's right. And he put him in a lock. He said, look, this is happening today. Yeah. You know, you have two ways to do this, basically. And that's how the title changed hands, is Buddy Rogers just being in fear for his life because Bruno was so strong and so powerful. What a great story that is. And then him going on this pace and talking about how, you know, you would travel back and forth. And I encourage you, if you're a wrestling fan, even if you don't love the old stuff, whatever it is, you should watch it because it's a fascinating people story. Yep. It's a human interest story. Check it out. It's called Bruno. It's make sure you get the right Bruno, not the one with Sacha Baron Cohen. That's a different thing.
A much more altogether. One, I think.
Yes, equal amounts of shirtless men, but just a little bit more disturbing. But the way they would go from place to place. You know, he actually wrestled in Australia 21 straight days, and they sold out that arena 21 times in a row. What kind of draw he was, and great job by Triple H too to bring Bruno back 2013 a couple years ago and reach out to him. And it was his idea to say, hey, we're back in New York area. Bruno is not in the Hall of Fame because of the falling out with the company. This is our opportunity to do it. Nobody's getting any younger here. And people can say what they want about Triple H. There's people who hate Triple H. So you'll see Punk faction of people don't like Triple H. You know what? I'm a Triple H guy. I always will be because he understands the big picture of stuff. And I think sometimes people are short-sighted. And I say, good job here, Triple H, making that happen before he passed away just, 5 years later.
Yeah, he's been the real caveat, you know, the catalyst to, like, you know, reuniting with these guys like, you know, Bruno Sammartino, even like Kurt Angle, you know, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, he realizes what the history means to the business. And I've always appreciated that about him. Say what you want about storyline stuff. But he's preserved the legacy of people that deserve to have it, you know, preserved, or at least
he has perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Vince loses perspective sometimes, and it's because he's been doing it so long and he's so in it. Whereas I think for Hunter, he kind of understands the big picture at times and and you know I guess his hands aren't as dirty yet as Vince's. And it's true. You know, the more you have to deal with these people on these high levels and contract disputes, and maybe over time that'll happen as well. But right now, it's great that there's somebody there in the company reminding everybody what's important, and that's the big picture. And they did a great job honoring him in the opening of Raw. I really liked what they did and the way they did it, and the way they did it throughout the show too. And you could see everybody that he met over time, what a huge impact that he made. So a huge loss in the wrestling world. I would say wrestling Mount Rushmore, it's got to be what? Ric Flair. It's got to be Bruno. And
Hogan. I think so.
I guess you have to say Hogan because he had that
culture.
NWO run, you know.
Pop culture, too, though. He's the one that bridged the pop culture gap there.
True. So who's the fourth? Is it Andre?
You got to do it. I think if you want to do the eras, it's probably Austin.
I guess. I don't know. I wasn't even thinking of eras. I'm just thinking about most important figures. And I mean, you can make the argument for Austin, too. I mean, you really can. Because he is the if I say Attitude Era to you, it's Austin. Right. You know, that's where your mind goes. That's where mine goes anyway.
I mean, people say Taker. Yeah, I mean, I'm
no.
I know. Listen, I know you.
No.
Listen. You're not.
Yes.
I said people. I said people.
No, but I mean, people will say it. I know, but I'm yelling at them because
you're right.
I keep pointing out the fact. When was he a great champion?
He was
never.
He was never the best guy of his era, basically.
Nor did he hold the belt. See, to me, you got to be the champ And you got to be the guy, and you got to be the attraction. He was always an attraction for a very long time, and that's fine. He's like the all-time great compilers in baseball.
Right.
You know,
I would put Cena or The Rock over Undertaker if we were doing those types of rankings. But
I would too. And I'm trying not to be short-sighted about the old school guys either. You know, is it a Buddy Rogers? Is it somebody like that? I wonder. You know, we should get a wrestling historian on and talk about that. You know, because that's a great debate. And I mean, Austin's a good one. You know, I always go back and forth with Hogan because as important as Hogan was, and I guess I'm, you know, cranky my old age. But my perspective of Hogan changed significantly from the time that I was, you know, a 6-year-old kid to now. And understanding that even though he put them on the map in terms of popularity, he also stunted the growth of so many great storylines and so many great performers in the middle of that reign. And then later in that reign, although that NWO thing was so great and turning him heel was so great and it was so unique to take the ultimate babyface and make it bad, he did the same thing over in WCW too.
No, you're not wrong. I think just big picture you have to look at with this stuff. And I think, you know, you don't think of wrestling if you're not a wrestling fan without thinking of Hulk Hogan. So that's my criteria.
You're right. So I'm going to say Bruno. I'm going to say Hogan. I'm going to say Ric Flair.
We're required to say Ric Flair on this show, so
woo. And then I think Austin's fine. I understand the Andre the Giant as the drawing card. I get that too.
Yeah,
you know, that's an intriguing one as well. It's a good debate. All right, let's talk about Impact Wrestling Redemption. I know our good pal Petey Williams of the show. I got to do a show with Petey not that long ago. We'll see if we can get him back on with us in the weeks ahead here. But Petey had a great match versus Matt Sydal. You know, of course he did, you know, obviously. Right. So take us through your thoughts on that match here with Petey in the X Division title.
I mean, I love how they played up the fact that, you know, Petey being, you know, the veteran wanted to get that X Division title back. I mean, first of all, I think the Feast or Fired concept is a bit underrated with the briefcase stuff like the, you know, Money in the Bank, but that extra element to it. When it's done well, it's done really well. And I think this is a case where they played it up pretty well. I mean, Matt Sydal's kind of that, like, yoga, you know, kale eating douchey type of tweener right now because he's, you know, a little holier than thou attitude. It's actually really funny what they're doing with it. And at Matt Sydal / Evan Bourne, for those who don't know, just, you know, he can go, of course. So that's no question there. And, you know, they played the nice dynamic of, you know, playing off the Canadian Destroyer versus, you know, the Airborne, you know, the Shooting Star Press. So it was a nice little back and forth. These guys, you know, they seem to just have chemistry in their sleep, as we like to say. So, yeah, it was a great job, and Petey came up just short, and, you know, Matt Sydal kind of, you know, held his own, and, yeah, great bout between the two. And, you know, I also love, actually, before the match, Petey Williams ran into a certain – well, actually, we'll get to that later because it's funnier when we mention it, with talking about that segment.
Yeah. All right, Pentagon Jr. wins Impact title. You know, obviously,
I
just
love him.
Incredible to watch. I mean, he's one of those guys. And you're a big Aries mark, you say still, yes? That's where you live? You're still living there?
Yeah, still living there. You know, he got jobbed at WWE a little bit. We talked about this previously. I mean, the guy's just
did he, or is it just still Austin Aries being Austin Aries and just being impossible to work with?
It might be.
It begs the question. I mean, I've heard all the Cornette stuff about him, and, you know, Cornette hates everybody, so it's hard to listen to him about
kind of a biased source there. With that.
It is, but you know, but when he tells the stories, the way he tells them, you know they're true.
They're at least 75% true. Yeah,
I think with Aries, they're more like 90% true.
Fine, but I don't know, the way he works in the ring, I always appreciate it. And, you know, Pentagon Jr. and his brother Phoenix being in there too was a, you know, it's always a hell of a dynamic with those two, going back to Lucha Underground and going into Impact. Now, the Impact Lucha Underground merger, you know, it's a big deal. I think people are kind of underestimating what that could mean for both companies. You know, kind of helping Lucha Underground survive with funding a bit more, and same with Impact, I guess. But the talent exchange is really working out well. They had the great triple threat between these three at WrestleCon, you know, WrestleMania weekend, and they decided to run it back. Not a bad decision. You know, the high flying in this match is great because Aries still can be a little bit of a high flyer here. But Pentagon with those, he did a double package pile driver on his brother and Aries at the end, and it just, you know, cemented how big this guy could be if they treat it right. And people worry about, you know, the language barrier a bit. He does know a little bit of English, not so much, but, you know, the Impact worked the you know,
I think the language barrier thing is overrated in this context nowadays. Nowadays more than ever, you can get over the language barrier. It's something 10 years ago even I don't think you could get over. But now we live in a different world, and I think the acceptance level is just much higher. Now, speaking of things going the right way, you like the way Allie's been booked in Impact, and you have a provocative idea here. Share it with the kids out there. Go ahead.
Well,
a lesson to be learned, so to speak.
Lesson to be learned. I think there's ways to book the naive babyface that work really well. It's all about them facing adversity and overcoming it. And I think that the way that Impact Wrestling, especially since the new ownership levels have took over, they've booked Allie the way that WWE should have booked Bayley from the get-go. Allie, cherry bomb on the indies, really, really good wrestler as well in all those, promotions. She has that naivete to her that, she's like, she's sweet and, but she's not always the aggressive type. But then she rallies during a match and it works. And she's good in the ring and it plays well. WWE kind of hotshotted Bayley, who's supposed to be the underdog, to the title almost immediately upon her promotion. And that let the air out of the balloon. We didn't give us a chance to root for an underdog, didn't give us a chance to be there on the journey with her. And I think, Impact has done this for over a couple of years with Allie because they signed her a couple of years ago. And it's just worked out so well. The storytelling has just been aces on that. And, they've had her have a wedding breakup. They have her break up a wedding. They had her boyfriend break up with her. And in this one, they had the ex-boyfriend be in the other woman's corner, Su Yun, who's Rich Swan's wife, actually, which is an interesting connection there. But, yeah, it's a really good way that they book this type of character that WWE seems to really fail on.
Speaking of epic failures, Scott Steiner came back to Impact. 55 years old. Look, I had respect for Scott Steiner and the Steiner brothers as a kid, and back in their, old school days, even through the WCW and WO era stuff. I had respect for Steiner. I didn't like Steiner, but I respected him in the business. I'm never a fan. I never will be a fan. He is, to me, it's like watching paint dry. And even though there's something beautifully comic about listening to him cut a promo, at the same time, it's so tragic and painful in the exact same moment that I don't know whether to cry or laugh at times. And I can't get behind this at all.
You remember Hero G? I remember when the pro Albert Bob the German? Who is DJ Oliver again, man?
I understand. I guess he's still a draw. He needs a paycheck. They want to pay somebody, so it all works out. I don't know. Yeah. I can't get there, dude. I just can't get there.
I will start with the fact that they threw back to one of his horrible promos with Petey, when Petey was kind of like, little Papa Pump or whatever. I forget what he was called.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
They threw it back to the math thing he did when he tried to make equations during the promo, and that was a good nod. I like that, but
if he went totally goofy about it, but I don't think he has a sense of humor about himself to do it. No, but if he went totally goofy, like he was, that would be such a great gimmick for him at this point in his career, where he just embraced his stupidity and just go on there and just say crap that makes no sense and make really bad cliches that. Yeah, he's taking different cliches and mixing them together and stuff like that. That'd be amazing. It would be T-shirt central if he did that stuff, man.
I'm with you.
The Yogi Berra of wrestling. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but that's it. Make him the Yogi Berra of professional wrestling, and I think you got something.
I'm with you. I just don't think that's his temperament. I don't think that's the way he wants to present himself. So, but 55-year-old Big Papa Pump doing a top rope Frankensteiner, that was okay. Eli Drake, I don't mind him as a talent. I think there's a lot of, lots of work with there. He's already been, grand champion and stuff, so I think this is kind of his settling into the mid-card phase again. But I hope there's somebody that deserves a big pop to take the title from them, because, the Main Event Mafia was when I really lost a lot of interest in Impact Wrestling, and I don't think this will change that.
All right, let's close this one out. Final thoughts, anything else from this that you want to take away?
Brian Cage is nasty. If you don't watch Lucha Underground or Impact, the guy's just a physical freak, guy. Bodybuilding type who can move like a luchador off, and it's really good. Don Callis, I really got to say, I enjoy his commentary more than most WWE guys, maybe except Corey Graves, I guess. And of course, at NXT, they're good there. But I don't know, Don Callis has the mind to say the right thing at the right time a lot. So he's one of the guys, that's kind of at the head of the new Impact, and I kind of trust what he's doing with it. So I'm interested to see where it goes. And we saw Ricochet debut not long ago. His girlfriend / significant other, I guess, if they're still together, Tessa Blanchard also debuted on Impact. Just commentary during a match, but it should be exciting because, we saw her in the Mae Young Classic wrestle Kairi Sane, and that was a great match, and looking forward to more of that on a bigger stage for her.
All right, very good. All right, let's close this out here with some little rumors flying around. Let's do some rumors before we get into our discussion about Raw.
I love rumors. facts can be so misleading. Were rumors true or false are often revealing.
Rumors.
I love rumors. There's early that against, I guess, maybe some people's better ideas or concepts, but early creative plans for a Shield triple threat match at WrestleMania next year. Now, that's a fascinating one to me because we've been talking here about how Seth Rollins is so over right now. And, if they're going to turn Roman heel or make this whole thing work and put Dean in the mix, I think that could really that's a good main event. I still say that the very, very main event should indeed be Charlotte and Ronda next year. I mean, if things are going in that direction, I think it's time. And I think what better place to do it than New York, because they will be a very accepting audience.
Yep.
But this triple threat Shield match, your thoughts on that? Do you think that would be the marquee name match that I think I would. I think I could get behind that concept. Again, it's just a rumor, but it doesn't mean it's not true.
I think they can get there storyline-wise. They kind of had to put it off with Dean's injury and stuff. I think that might have been an option heading into things, although I guess Brock Lesnar probably never was. But it might have been like a SummerSlam option for after that to get the Brock obligations out of the way. Yeah, I think they can maneuver their way if they do it right. So, Dean Ambrose, I'm sure he'll get a nice pop coming back. Like I don't know about the Triple H pop at MSG, but
I was live in person for that.
Nothing will ever be that.
Were you there for that? I was there for that.
No, I wasn't.
I was there for that in person, and I could tell you to this day,
it's insane.
I've never been in an arena that was that loud for that long, ever. Not ever. It was an insane thing, and the guy didn't do anything. All he did was spit water, wear a complete denim outfit, and flex. And I think he gave a pedigree to somebody. I don't even remember. I was so drunk on yelling and screaming my head off when he was back, and it was beer. Actually, I'm not a big drinker at sporting events. I mean,
that's good.
Maybe it's the $20 beers that do it to me that it turns me off.
True.
But like, even if I'm a helmet Sunday guy. I'm more of a stadium eater than a stadium drinker. I'm just not that.
More value. Yeah.
Yeah, more exactly. I'm all about the value. All right, let's talk about Raw. And we're settling into the new rosters here a little bit. And let's start off with Roman and Brock. A very good promo as per usual for Paul Heyman. We always love the Paul Heyman work here. I still say I'm putting it down as now 90% chance that Roman walks away with that title from Saudi Arabia. That's where I'm at right now.
I would have been higher. I think I said 95.
You're at 95 now?
Yeah.
All right. I'm at 90 because now I'm a little mistrustful. I'm a little burned after WrestleMania.
Yeah. Just get it over with. That's what I say.
All right, now the two lost puppies, the Miz Taraj, right now. Let's talk about those guys because fun little bit there to go to each guy wearing the T-shirts, trying to latch on and be lackeys for somebody else. I like that.
Yeah.
But that's only going to get you through 1 week. Where do you go next with it? Because I'm not sure. And I don't know if they're sure. That's the problem. I think there's this general feeling right now is like, we don't know what to do with these guys. And it kind of stemmed, how should I put this? It basically birthed itself on the show. Okay, we don't know. Can you go with these guys? Can you go with these guys? Can you latch on somewhere else? I mean, at this point, I don't think they have the ability to be anything more than what they've been doing with the Miz. I just don't see it.
They should do next week. They should do like a low budget Miz Taraj TV, like have like in a boiler room or like a crappy room in the backstage or something.
Like Wayne's World, almost like a Wayne's World in your parents' basement kind of thing?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, and just walk by trying to get people to get on the show, and people just like, nah, I'm good. I mean, you can stretch out some more Miz-type parody stuff out of this, I think.
Like the bad talk show. They already have the Sammy and Kevin show, which I do enjoy. I did enjoy the Sammy Kevin show.
They could like compete with them. That'd be funny. They could, there could be interplay between those two shows a little bit, like, no, but why would you watch that show? We're the originals or something,
Oh yeah, just set them up in the backstage area,
right?
With like a table and a crappy microphone, like a play school microphone,
right?
A children's microphone. And see, people miss out on that. Like, there's something to be said for that, and it's kind of endearing, if you could do that, and pull the string on the thing that says the cow says moo.
And Axel just being like shaking his head, no.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about something that was good.
Yes.
I can't possibly be happier with the Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre combination and the direction of Dolph.
Mm-hmm.
The promo they cut after that match was awesome. This is Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash 2.0, but somehow much, much better. I'm just putting it out there. Maybe I'm over the top, but you said it, and I agree with you. And I'm so all in right now.
Well, Drew is, I think, 10 times more potential better than Kevin Nash as a wrestler.
Oh, as a wrestler, absolutely.
Nash should do a promo pretty well, but Drew, he did what he had to do, like 30 seconds, get in, get out of what he had to say. I mean, he doesn't need to say much. He's just a physical freak. Why would you make him try to be too cute with things? So, yeah, I mean, I'm a Drew McIntyre guy, and Dolph needed this refresh, and, it's looking forward to – they should just overrun people. Seriously. They should just, go through people, interrupt matches, and just destroy everybody.
Well, and that's the question, too, is do you use them as a tag team, or do you increase this stable and add a third person to the mix as well? And make this group of it's funny, you could start adding so many guys to this kind of stable. The guys that were overlooked and didn't get their due, you could add Bobby Roode to the stable.
Baron Corbin.
You could add Baron Corbin. You could add Ty Dillinger to the stable. You could add a bunch of these guys and really go with the whole, hey, we're overlooked, and you know what? We are the show. We're what people actually enjoy when they watch the show. Right. That's great. I love that whole we are the show. It works for me. I'm a big fan, and it's great because Dolph is just an underutilized talent. I mean, he just is.
Well, we say it every week.
I'm so sick of the whole.
We say it every week.
We got burned out on Dolph Ziggler. Shut up with that whole. How do you get burned out on something that's excellent? I'm sorry. That's just lazy wrestling fandom. I'm sorry. The guy sells the crap out of everything. He's got a great moveset.
He's not to blame.
No, he's not to blame. Creative's to blame. And you know what? Hopefully creative can pull him out of it, because I think this is the beginning of something, and now we'll see where it goes and who they pair them against. Braun Strowman, hilarious set there with Kevin and Sammy for me. When he went around that thing 3 times and then shoulder tackled him twice, and then the last one drop kicked him. That was just amazing. Watching Braun is just much fun.
Talking about pops, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Braun pop is pretty unbelievable right now. Oh, and I think Bobby Lashley was in that match.
Talk about trying to get him a little bit of the rub that Braun gets. But.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. There's another guy where I just don't know. I don't get it. He is big, strong. He's what they look like, but I just don't care yet. Now maybe that'll change.
There's no upward mobility. That's the thing. He's in the mid card. Fine, it's good, but. I don't know. It seems like he should be more, and I think we all know that he could have been more at one time. So
he looks like more.
Yeah.
Physically, when he walks in, you go, wow. And he has the look of him, but the problem is there's not enough communication that happens in the ring from him. There's not enough emotion that comes from the ring, no matter what's going on. Right. And that's I think that's what it is. I think he's kind of one note in the ring, and as impressive as he is physically, you have to do more. I mean, there's that whole thing where I think he just has one facial expression. I really do, and I'm not trying to crush Bobby Lashley. I mean, because Bobby Lashley would crush me,
right?
But he's got one facial expression, and you need more than that. This is not 1980. You can't get away with that stuff now. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work in this modern era. You have to be able to tell the story more. Speaking of guys who wear headbands, my boy Chad Gable getting a push. Woo! Yeah, Chad Gable, love it. I mean. I'm telling you, I mean, in terms, you want to talk about in-ring ability, you want to talk about a guy who's good on the mic, you want to talk about a guy who's got all the goods. So it begins. And even he was able to even have an entertaining match with Jinder Mahal. I could say, honestly, Tim, that was the first Jinder Mahal match I enjoyed in my entire life.
Well, it was working with someone really small. I think helps because it makes Jinder look as big as he wants to think he looks, and Vince wants to think he looks. So yeah, I mean that's a good dynamic, and Chad can work him through a match really well, more than most. So yeah, it was a fun little segment. I have my spurts of enjoyment of Jinder. I think the whole thing worked.
So did I. I had moments. The promo he cut on Gable was funny.
That was
he
great.
Called him Nicholas, and then he did. Oh, you're that kid who really grew up, and look, you were tag team champions with Braun Strowman last week. Look how big you got. That was great.
Yeah.
But why can't we make him more that kind of heel?
He should be. I think he's getting more comfortable too with his talking.
I agree. I actually think the pressure of not having the belt has actually been good for him.
Yes, I agree.
I feel Jinder without the belt has less pressure on him to be something he's not. And he's just kind of decent with the and he's kind of a bit of a dick, and he just should be more of a dick.
Yes.
And if he was, everyone would like him more. And Gable, look, I mean, he's a star. I'm sorry. And if they don't do it right, he's going to go and he's going to leave and he's going to be a star somewhere else. And we're all going to sit here on this show and we're going to say, see,
Chad Gable, Ring of Honor champion or something. Yeah.
Probably. But look, I'm telling you right now, they better know what they have here. And I would love to see Gable. If Gable ends up being the third guy in that Dolph and Drew McIntyre group, sign me up, man.
That could be sweet. Yeah.
Oh my God, those three guys, that'd be amazeballs. All right, No Way Jose. I gotta address it.
Not amazeballs.
Is this dead on arrival? I mean, I feel like he's gonna Congo his way down the ring and around the ring and then right back out and out the arena, and we're never gonna see him again. Like, I just feel like the Congo line is gonna go right in and right out. And we're never gonna see him wrestle even.
It's too close to Adam Rose, what Adam Rose was, and I liked Adam Rose. I thought there was some potential there. No Way Jose, I don't know, man. I want to like him. If you can get him below 205, weight-wise, that could be an interesting dynamic to 205 live at this point. But I don't know. The comic relief, do you need to have that type of comic relief? I don't know.
Well, I don't think you do in the way the roster is currently constructed. I think right now when you look at that Raw roster, I don't think you need to. I mean, for him to get to 205, he'd have to lose 40 pounds.
I know. He's big.
He's
huge.
245. Yeah. I mean, so that's not going to happen, unfortunately. But, yeah, you're right. It's that kind of gimmick works there. I just don't know, man. I mean, I agree. It is too much like Adam Rose, but it's also just empty. And you know, pairing with Baron Corbin, I mean, Baron Corbin honestly just destroyed him, I thought.
You can't have Corbin lose to him.
Not only that, but like I don't mean physically. I mean, like when he came out, he basically just blew up the gimmick right there.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, ugh. It was uncomfortable for me because I was like, wow, they're just trying to get this guy over. And I felt like that promo was so strong that they just crushed him before he even got started.
They could have No Way Jose do like social media stuff, kind of like the Adam Rose stuff. They had Adam Rose do a lot of like vignette stuff before he even debuted. I think they for lack of a better expression, they just threw him out there so quickly, and I think it's overstayed its welcome already because it's just you didn't get any nuance out of this.
Well, nobody knows what to do with him, I don't think. And I'll tell you what, they better not let Corbin job to him. That'd be terrible. That's an awful idea if he beats him. Just absolutely awful. And again, No Way Jose can't win rather, because if he loses to Baron Corbin, it crushes him. If he beats Baron Corbin, it kind of crushes him. The whole thing just bad. Ugh, I hate it. All right. Women's 10-person tag team match there because, why not 10? I had to listen to Sarah Logan talk for 30 seconds, which, you know how I feel about that. I saw your tweet about it. And
the old Boy Meets World, make it stop is always it's a reliable one.
I hunt and fish, and I'm out in the forest, and I'm a wrestler. Oh, my gosh, it's just so bad. Alexa Bliss part of this match, but obviously you see her not wrestling and wearing a T-shirt, so we all know what's going on there.
Well, the Iconics went through the same thing. So.
Are you surprised in this day and age that the women are doing that and going that route?
Yeah, I still am. Women's revolution, but then that. I mean, if it's,
I find it unnecessary. Personally,
are they deciding on their own? Which I'm not really confident saying. I
feel like they are doing it on their own, and
it'll be better if it's their decision. Yeah, of course.
Well, it's a double-edged sword because at the same point, it's like, okay, well, you don't need to go enhance yourself physically and do breast and implants and whatever it is nowadays to get over. Obviously, it's not. I mean, you can't get more over than Alexa Bliss is over right now. But at the same time, it's like, well, you also can't say to somebody, well, of course, you can do whatever you want and makes you happy because that's the era we're in, and it should be your empowerment to do that. So I guess, it's just kind of odd to me that at this day and age, the message they're sending so strong is all this like, hey, look how good we are. Look at where we are. We're here because of our wrestling. We're here because of that. Right. And then if they're doing this just because it's personally something that makes them happy, I get it. But it's just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's incongruous. Is that a good way?
That's a proper estimate of it. I mean,
I'm sorry if I used a big vocabulary word here on the podcast for those of you listening. I apologize.
We just lost half of our.
I just got that word of the day, toilet paper. So,
you're not wrong. I would like to think it's a mix of like, okay, if you want to get them, and they do decide they want them. But you know what? If company's paying for them, and if you've wanted them, you know.
I guess company. Well, I guess that's the whole point is the company's paying for it. Like what a hilarious invoice that is. Like when you say, like when
they're cashing in, like Carmella, you know.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, end of that match. We have Ronda coming in there. Great hip toss there, you know, down and takedown there by Ronda. That was explosive and fast. And
that was nice.
I was worried for Mickie James. Like she went to that arm so fast and so hard that there's always a part of me like Brock Lesnar when I was like, oh God, is it safe? Is it safe? And it's just because when you really fight, there's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference between me really fighting and me, you know, going out there and running choreography every week with my students. There's a difference. And when that switch is flipped with the crowd around you, it's hard, I imagine, to unflip it, you know?
Yeah. But, you know, you trust where Ronda knows where all the vulnerable spots are. I think she knows how to make it wrestling, you know, legit, I guess. I guess
by now, right? Yeah, she's been doing it for like 6 months or so. She's been training, so.
But still, a good segment. I mean, you know, the Ronda, Mickie, Natalya thing is kind of what we predicted.
We did. And it's good, and it's working. Yeah. And we'll see how that all works out, and the eventual Natalya heel turn, which would be great with her, and, you know, put her over and wrestle it, surprised by SummerSlam. I would imagine they'll drag that for a bit, which will be great. And that'll be fun, really fun. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about SmackDown and possibly one of the great heels you're seeing of all time in the WWE. Plus, we will also continue our top 5 list of who's going to win the greatest Royal Rumble ever of all time or whatever.
Of this month.
And we'll go on through our predictions as well. You're listening to In This Ring right here. Joe Pisapia, Tim Heaney. We'll be right back right after this.
In This Ring.
Get down.
Welcome back, everybody, to In This Ring, part of the InThisLeague.com podcast network. We are here breaking down all things professional wrestling for you. We hit on Impact. We hit on Bruno Sammartino. We just talked about Raw. And now it's time for a little SmackDown. And I want to start off with the new Nakamura theme song, the new Nakamura feel. Everything about this is just so good, Team Heaney. I just want to bathe myself in the heel turn of Nakamura because I love it so much. It's just so much yes. Much yes to this.
I want it all over my body, basically.
I just want to Kinshasa all over myself. I don't know if that's a thing, but it's kind of gross. I just said it.
Yeah, a little gross. But we'll move on. It's that type of show. What viewers, I swear, I lie to you not. When Joe and I were doing the Google Doc outline this morning, at the same time we both typed. I typed, "That's how you heal," and then Joe types, "How great is Nakamura as a heel?" Just about at the same time.
At the same time. See? So, right there. Brothers, right there. Yeah, but it's so great. The way the way he moves in the ring, the way he's talking or not talking now or whatever he's doing, you know, the everything he's doing. And you know what, Tim, I kept thinking to myself, what was missing in that something was missing in that AJ Nakamura match at WrestleMania. It just wasn't there. And now when I'm watching it, I go, oh, that's what was missing. This is what was missing because Nakamura needed to be this version of himself in that match. And I can tell you right now, if that would have been the case, it would have brought the house down. Yeah. And it's a shame because we're going to get that rematch. It's going to be at the Greatest Royal Rumble. And it should have been at SummerSlam or WrestleMania or something else because this version has so much more heat. It's so amazing.
Imagine they had this like develop after Fastlane, like you said. Oh my God, the timing of this was a little weird, but you know the Greatest Royal Rumble version of this match could be 3 times better, like you said. And
do you think they just didn't anticipate it? Like, do they think they just wanted more stuff to happen at WrestleMania instead of
the heel turn being as iconic as the match itself? Maybe,
but you have all these things where I feel like now that, you know, between the Braun Strowman, who's Braun's partner, they're trying to make it must tune in kind of things where what's going to happen at WrestleMania instead of it being the culmination of events, it almost becomes like a surprise or a beginning of events now.
That's a fair point.
It's odd. It's not what we're used to or conditioned to.
It's just always the build up, and then it happens, and then nothing else branches off it. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But Nakamura you're right. He does the things to change his character that not many heels do. He changes his body language. He changes his facial expressions, interaction with the crowd. you know he's a heel. It's not like it's, I hate to say it about some guys, but the heels that still get cheered a lot, that's different because they still do the same things. Nakamura changes himself, and it's a wonderful performer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great. And I wish we could give our hardcore analysis besides it's just so great, but it's just so freaking great.
Sorry, no speak English.
All right, let's talk about Cass and Miz. I liked Miz opening the show, and I liked Big Cass coming out in the suit and talking. And let me tell you something, man. Big Cass can talk. I mean, the WWE has been waiting their whole life. Vince McMahon's waiting his whole life for a 7-foot guy who could really talk. And now you got one. I mean, you got one. Cass can do it. Cass is almost like if you took Edge and kind of stretched him out.
You're not the first person to say that. Yeah.
Right? Like if you took Edge and stretched him out and gave him just a little less charisma, but a little bit more power. And I think it's great. Like I'm all for it. I think Cass is going to be set up here for a very big run because I think he's ready for it. And I'll tell you what, if this was the beginning of that, this Miz performance, man, this is a great launching point for him.
I really liked when he said Daniel Bryan was me once, or I'm paraphrasing.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's.
And I hated myself then. That was great.
That's some psychological deep dive stuff, and I appreciated that. I always thought of him as a combo of Edge and Test.
They're totally if Edge and Test had a baby. That's Big Cass.
I think that you got to wonder if this injury made him reevaluate some things and made him kind of just kind of examine ways he can improve. And yeah, I mean, I like what I'm seeing.
Well, that happens. I mean, look at Austin.
What I'm seeing from it. Yeah.
When Austin was hurt and he came back better than ever, after the neck injury with Owen Hart. And, sometimes that happens where you're getting so close and then it's taken away and you go, and then you come back with this fire. And I think Cass has that fire. And to finally have Enzo just not even be around there and just scrap that whole thing, that was terrific. Iconics, still amusing to me. I was amused by them. My kids love their shtick. They think they're hilarious. They love their accents. They're trying to – my children – this is how you know if somebody's over or not. My children are trying to do their accent. If my children are trying to do their accent, they – hello, Charlotte, and they can't do it. It's terrible. But,
A for effort. That's great.
Yeah, A for effort. But a good spot there for them, I thought, again, and continuing on this. I feel like Billy's better in the ring than Peyton. Am I wrong?
I think Billy has the better presence, but I think Peyton pulls out the better moves. NXT stuff, like Peyton and Asuka had some good matches, and they had the Fatal 4-Way. She did a Widow's Peak on her one time. I'm like, all right, that's impressive. Well, Billy Kay has the big boot finisher. When she pulls it out, that'll work well. So.
Yeah, well, but look, so far I think a very successful debut for them.
Very good.
I'm still hoping, fingers crossed, for a big time women's tag team championship, because now that everything's co-branded pay-per-view wise, there's no reason not to do it. Right. Orton,
Becky, Asuka too. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, all that stuff. And look, talk about air out of the balloon. I mean, Asuka right now, I feel sad when she comes on. I just feel sad, and I know that's the opposite of how I used to feel right now. For her, it's just sad.
And the floodgate for losses for her, open, gushing. Sad.
Hashtag sad. Orton finds Jinder Mahal's little henchman singing a mask. Hilarious.
Of course.
Love that. There was that fleeting moment for a split second where I saw the guy in the mask and I went, who's the guy? Oh. And as soon as all his body was all in black. But put a guy in a mask. There you go. That's all you need. Naomi uses her feminine wiles to distract the Bludgeon Brothers, which there was a fair amount of booty shaking happening there. Just want to point that out.
It was prominent. Shaking. It was prominent. Yeah,
prominent booty shaking happening, and apparently, Eric Rowan and
Luke Harper do have
and Harper like the booty.
Do have human libidos. They're not just Bludgeon Brothers. They don't care about just hammers and.
Where are they going with this? Is one of them getting a crush on Naomi and it's going to get weird?
Probably. I hope Rowan's the one with the crush. That'd be so funny though if they're doing that.
I guess Rowan would be the funnier one. I guess I don't know. It's just.
But I mean, I don't like much about Naomi, but I think this would work. So
all right. Also, the contract signing where I did enjoy Carmella running her highlight reel twice. I thought that was funny.
I think she's been hysterical. I think she's really making this work.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm not ready for the thumbs up. The thumb's in the middle right now. Okay. There was no thumb out at all. Right now, the thumb's in the middle. So we're making progress on it because there's still things that she does that bother me.
But Joe, we know a couple of girls from Staten Island like that.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, I want her to be more Staten Island. I know way too many girls from Staten Island like that, and I want to hear her be more Staten Island. I want her to, like,
bring back some of that NXT hairdresser Carmella. That'd be funny.
Just a little bit more. I mean, she's from Florida or some crap like that, right? I mean, or no, she's from Massachusetts.
Her dad played for the Patriots for a bit, I think, right?
Yeah, she's from Massachusetts.
Or he was a wrestler. He was a
wrestler too, and her dad was
a Patriots cheerleader. Her dad was an enhancement talent. That's what it was.
Yes, her dad was enhancement. Not Van Dam.
I forget the last name. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever.
Charlotte was cool though. I love Charlotte during this too.
Charlotte was cool. She came out in the black, which was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. All right, let's talk about the greatest Royal Rumble. Or so it's billed. Let's talk about this card and break it down. We'll talk about who we predict out of the 50-man Royal Rumble match, but let's start with Undertaker Rusev. I mean, obviously Rusev's going to go in the casket, right? I think we all agree on that.
Burial, yeah. But I jokingly saying that, I don't think this will bury him, but I think he can carry the Undertaker a bit. I think he can make that work.
All right, Triple H, John Cena. I think this is going to be more entertaining than people realize.
Yes, of course.
So I'm gonna say enjoyable. I say Cena gets a much needed victory here.
Yeah. He's had a little bit of a run, but
yeah, I think he needs a win. John Cena needs a win in life. I think right now John Cena needs a win. Right. I can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, he's a 41-year-old millionaire who's got the body of a 20-year-old and tons of money. He's not gonna have a hard time. Cedric Alexander defends his championship against Kalisto. I would imagine Cedric retains, but a very entertaining match nonetheless.
Sure. I mean, if nothing, Kalisto could go in the ring. So, yeah, Cedric has to keep winning.
All right. Usos versus the Bludgeon Brothers. I find it hard to believe that they'll take away the belts from Bludgeon Brothers at this point.
No.
Right? We agree?
No, I think so. The Naomi thing was they got their nice little cute win, the Usos, but I think they get destroyed here.
All right. Bray Wyatt, Matt Hardy versus Cesaro and Sheamus. I mean, we talked about how weird this is now where it's kind of like a fait accompli. We already know because they moved them. But that would be a swerve if somehow Cesaro and Sheamus did actually win and go back there for a little while. But I don't want that to happen.
Do the Woken Wyatts need the titles, though? I question that a little bit. I mean, I guess it's cool because they can exist in their own universe, but I guess having a big win could be defining for them. So, yeah, I'll pick them.
The trouble is, who do you battle them against next?
Yeah, that's the problem. Authors of Pain, probably.
But here's the problem: is they're going to promo them to death,
right? Because
they can't promo, and it's going to ruin Authors of Pain, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm over it. But I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. They're going to mock them and make fun of them, and they're going to undercut them, and it's going to work. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, but who else is even close to that level right now in tag team? That's the thing. Maybe it's a vehicle for Dolph and Drew to win. I mean,
could be because those guys can withstand it. But what I say. I want the Fashion Police and I want Wyatt and Hardy in the Fashion Police. I want
that'd be great.
That would be such good television. And the way they would make fun of their outfits and all. See, they need somebody who's going to make fun of them back. You can't have one of these tag teams be the straight person.
Right.
I mean, you could feed Dash and Dawson to them or whatever, but who cares?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. AJ versus Nakamura, the sequel. This one I'm excited about. Nakamura as the heel. And we kind of glossed over that match, but the putting the little club back together.
Yeah.
It was a nice little moment there. I think it's good for AJ to have some boys finally, don't you?
Yeah. Try to get the club a little bit of attention. It's always nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, too. If the Usos lose, then maybe you put the club with the Bludgeon Brothers a little bit and play that for a little while. And that could work. That could help them get back into relevance again. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe versus The Miz.
We skipped Jeff Hardy and Jinder.
Oh, we did. Oh, my bad, Jinder Mahal. Good point.
We just talked nicely about Jinder, and you skipped his name.
And I skipped over him because he's forgettable. But Jeff Hardy, Jinder Mahal, I mean, I think Jeff Hardy retains. He doesn't come back, get that belt, and then lose it again.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, do you think Nakamura will maybe upset Styles here, or do you think they won't change that?
I have no problem with that.
I wouldn't mind. So
I have no problem with that. And right now, so far as we're going through this, besides the one at the top, which we already discussed, which we'll hit again, the only other title change I could see happening is AJ to Nakamura.
Exactly. So
now I don't know if they want to do that and have him chase till SummerSlam. but I'm fine with it if they do that.
Me too.
I'm going to point out with Nakamura, we're making him champ. It's so good.
Or line up Daniel Bryan as the guy to get Nakamura.
I don't. Whatever you do, it doesn't matter. You can make that 3-way dance at SummerSlam. I'm all in with the popcorn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there like Big E in the front row eating popcorn. It's gonna be so good.
Love that gif.
It's such a great gif. I knew as soon as I was watching it on TV that night that it was gonna be a gif in less than 30 seconds. Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Miz. That should be very entertaining. It's good to have Samoa Joe in that match because he brings a different element than the other three do. Physically, so I think that's going to be super cool. That's going to be a ladder match. I say Seth retains because there's just no reason not to. Are you?
Me too. I read a rumors, another bonus rumor segment, that they're locally advertising as a 5-way. So maybe they'll have a mystery guy. Someone said Bobby Lashley, and I kind of revolted back a little bit. So I don't know.
Would we even know if he was in there?
John Cena, you can't see him.
I just can't see him. I can't see him. Well, the only other big name WWE guy who's not in a singles match right now is Randy Orton.
As an extra guy, he could be good, but he shouldn't win.
I'm not saying I'm saying is like that's the only guy that, in terms of like if you're bringing the product there with all the big time marquee names, that's the only one who's not in a singlesy kind of match.
Sure. Yeah.
That I would say, okay, that's the guy. Because you're not going to put Daniel Bryan there because it's too soon for all that. You're not going to rush him back, especially with ladders and stuff like that. That is the worst idea. All right, let's get to it. Here are the names, and we are going to make a list of them. These are the names in the greatest Royal Rumble. I'm going to right now make a list.
You know what happens to weird-looking guys? You just made the list! Oh, no!
All right, it's Daniel Bryan. It's The Big Show. It's Braun Strowman, Kurt Angle, Apollo Crews, Titus O'Neil, Elias, Goldust, Mojo Rawley, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin, Chad Gable, Big E, Kofi, Xavier, Shelton Benjamin, Sin Cara, Chris Jericho, my favorite, Chris Jericho, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Shane O'Mac in there, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Great Khali, and Mark Henry. So we are going to do this with our top 5. So that's the list of names. Tim, give me your top 5 possible winners of the greatest Royal Rumble.
I'm going to skip to number 1, the Great Khali.
Wouldn't that be it, though? Well, and I mean, it's not just like they don't have a Middle Eastern star, right. And the Middle East is a place where you got to be very careful because it's not like, like we have a European guy. Like if we put the Italian / whatever, if we put the Greek guy over in Italy, well, it still kind of works. No. This is the Middle East. It's not the same. Like just because Sami Zayn is, has a Syrian background or Mojo Rawley's real last name is Mutadi.
Right.
No. That's not how it works out there, kids. so don't get any ideas about like, they're going to put over that guy. This is not like the greatest Royal Rumble in India where you can put over Jinder and everybody goes, yay.
I was also just saying just because Great Khali is Great Khali. And
he's just great. The greatest Royal Rumble. Great Khali.
All right, I'll do my real top 5, I guess.
Well, I don't want to put you out, Heaney, but
Okay. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. I can't pick one of them. Number 5. Nice to have them get a little something crazy. Maybe the two of them are the final 2, and then Owens turns on Zayn or something to start that kind of fracturing. Big Cass, number 4. As we talked about before, I think that would be a nice move. Maybe if he eliminates my number 2 entrant as in the final would be cool. Number 3, Chris Jericho, because Chris Jericho is Chris Jericho.
Drink it in, man.
That would get over really well. Number 2, Daniel Bryan. As I said, a big cast Daniel Bryan could be a nice surprising finish there. And Daniel Bryan, nice to have him get something big on his return because, he's Daniel Bryan. And number 1, I think you might agree with this one. I don't know. I want Saudi Arabian, people to get these hands and Braun Strowman, number 1.
All right. Well,
give him something.
Well, look, I mean, my top 5, and it might surprise some people because my number 5 is actually Braun Strowman. However, also number 4, number 3, number 2, and my number 1 are also Braun Strowman. See what I did there? That's what we call a tease in the radio, where you go, "What? What's Joe thinking? Why is Braun 5?" It's because to me, Tim, there's no way anybody but Braun Strowman doesn't win this match. If you are trying to build this folklore, this legend around this guy, and it's starting to work. It's happening on its own. It's happening with the crowd. You're having some of these big moments for him already. Some of the stuff he did with Lesnar over last year was great into this past year. You know, this silly thing with the tag team belts where he could beat two guys by himself. If you're making him this Andre the Giant-esque sort of folklore legendary character, which I'm all for, you have to have him win this match.
Yeah.
It's a necessity. And right now, when he's got no other singles momentum going, there's no reason not to have him win this match and just put another notch in this guy's enormously large belt.
Sure. I mean, I agree for sure, obviously. And, yeah, I'm not going to argue.
Well, I mean, you know, the other ones, the big Cass Daniel Bryan one would be fun to set it up from a perspective of, okay, let's set this up for the future. Yeah. You know, as that continues to grow. And I think that's going to be a very entertaining match. You know, it's just the rest of these guys, too. Like, there's nobody else out there. You can't make a case for any of these other guys. Drew McIntyre, you could possibly make a case for if you wanted to put him. I'll tell you what would be cool is if you had at the this might be the more fun question to ask. Who's your final four in this? Because I would think it would be really super fun to have Dolph and Drew be in the final four of this grouping.
Yeah, that's a good proposition more. I think that, you know, have them take out everybody, as we mentioned before, be those guys that just eliminate a ton of people. And then, you know, I guess they get eliminated by each other or something.
Now, he's not on the list right now in terms of officially announced, but there's still obviously a lot of guys not announced yet.
Right. And he'd be a hell of an inclusion for sure. So, yeah, final four, like, you know, Big E could be a surprise one at the end because, you know, he can get a nice little rub from something. You know, Kurt Angle probably will be in consideration for like the final 10, I think. But, you know, you never know how he'll probably be a late entrant because you don't want him to have to go too long. Yeah, you know, maybe Chad Gable, your boy. That'd be fun.
Obviously, Chad Gable in there. Big Show back for this too, by the way. So we haven't seen him in a long time. So
another Braun piece of chum, I guess. You know,
right? Exactly. Like at the end, it would be kind of fun if it was Big Show, Braun Strowman, Big Cass, and Big E. Like just everybody named Big. Can we get Big Show, Big Cass, Big E, and Braun Strowman? Can we get
sexy Kevin Nash coming back for that?
There you go. I mean, who do you think some of the surprises? I mean, Rey Mysterio right now is already on the docket there in terms.
That'd be
of
great.
Now.
I hope so. Hope Rey gets out.
You know, as of right now, he was announced as of April 24th, 2018, yesterday. So him, Craig Khali were announced, as were Randy Orton and Mark Henry. So. You know, I'm trying to wonder. I mean, is this when we see Sanity show up? Because we haven't seen them yet.
That would make a ton of sense. Do they really want to go big and put Aleister Black in there? I don't know if the tape. I think
that's a tough one.
I think it might be too much.
Cien Almas I can see, but not Black.
You don't want to have Black lose anything right now.
And I like that Cien Almas trailer too on SmackDown. That was another.
We missed that, but he's so good. We just assume he's so good we don't have to mention it, basically.
Well, yeah. Well, he's like the antithesis of Bobby Lashley. Yeah. Like the guy who really doesn't talk either, or at least not much in English.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. Why? Because he's giving you so much in the ring in terms of what he's communicating to you in the storyline. You feel what he feels in the moment of stuff. You want to talk, again, the guy who's got one facial expression, the guy's got 1,000 facial expressions.
Right. And Almas had the great Royal Rumble run. So, I mean, I love it.
He really did. And I think that's when people really – I think that's when the eyes really opened up, I think, for the main creative team, when they went, yeah, you know, this guy's definitely ready. There were some questions there in the past, but he's ready. And, you know, I love getting Jericho back there, too. If Jericho, who's had some great Royal Rumbles as well, if Jericho was at the end, too, I would not hate on that at all.
Right, I think you have to. He's just that big of a draw, and he'll be in the top 10 at the end for sure.
Now I wonder too how much of the product they get out there already.
Yeah, it's a good question.
How familiar are they with the Chris Jerichos of the world, or you know, the Braun Strowmans of the world at this stage, or Daniel Bryan's? Like, is there going to be the yes chant out there?
Maybe. I really can't answer that question. I mean, that's something I really haven't looked into yet. But you got to assume if they're making this partnership that there's some sort of market there.
I would imagine that, well, there's market opportunity there. But maybe. I guess the question is, and this will be fascinating to watch in a huge stadium, you know, which is, you know, this is a big deal event and they're putting everything into it. You're going to see, you know, these guys, when they do these events like that, You know, I don't know if you saw some of the stage building stuff going on there. It's spectacular. Yep. You know, I mean, it's talking about
crazy. Yep.
Yeah. Over the top doesn't begin to describe what's happening there.
62,241 is the capacity. So.
Yeah. And they're going to fill it.
Yeah.
And just the question is, are they filling it with people who are going to know what all these little idiosyncratic moments are from these guys, or is it just people seeing this product for the first time and just being excited for everything?
Right. Is WWE going to fly super fans there, like the people that they kind of plant there to kind of lead chants and stuff like that? You know?
Why didn't we get that email?
I know.
God damn it. Come on, man. Speaking of that, you can hit us up on Twitter at JoePizapia17 and fly us out to Saudi Arabia. You can also hit us up at Tim_Heaney and, of course, at In This Ring. Please go over and subscribe at iTunes to the show. Subscribe on SoundCloud. Just subscribe, rate us, talk about us indefinitely to everyone you know, and give us wonderful, wonderful comments because it really does help everything in our cause. This is our passion. This is our passion project. We're here every week doing this for our listeners because we love doing this show. So please, please, please go over, get us followed over there on Twitter at In This Ring. And, of course, subscribe. Enjoy the greatest Royal Rumble. Enjoy your week, everybody. It's going to be a fun one. For Tim Heaney, I'm Joe Pisapia. And remember, kids, to be the men, you got to beat the men. And we are the men. Woo!